Hello, welcome back to Tech Ascent, the show where we dive into the trends, strategies, and success stories that are reshaping the tech landscape as we know it today. I'm your host, Oliver Clingain. I'm also the founder of Ascension, the premier business development partner within tech. Today, we're joined by a great guest, joined by Kevin Mulrane, the VP of Revenue at BioCentury. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Oliver. Yeah, man, really appreciate you having me on. Excited to do this.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show, talk some hot topics with the audience. But would you mind just kicking us off, telling us a little bit about yourself and what you guys do at BioCentury?
Yeah. So, really quick, high level for myself. I started off my career in sales back in 2007, which feels like an eternity ago. But quickly, I quickly learned that taking the path into sales leadership was something I was really excited about and something I was really passionate about. I always found that. Um, Helping folks, coaching, right? Seeing others win and develop was something that was really rewarding for me. So, been in sales leadership for 17 plus years or so. Worked in a lot of great early stage startups, anything from C to like Series B. So it's always been around building revenue teams, lots of team building, lots of efficiency and scale, lots of hiring, and really focus on different go-to-market strategies. So, seen a lot in my career, and always love talking shop and kind of sharing any lessons or things that I've learned along the way. So, really excited to talk shop today, man.
Sweet. This is the place to be if that's your thing. And I'm going to pick one point out there. You said you've worked in lots of different companies from startup C to Series B. Between those, what's kind of the biggest differences in your, I guess, day to day position?
Yeah, I think I think it's all different building blocks. Seed is a really fun, exciting time, has some unique challenges because usually that stage, very few customers, maybe a bit of product market fit, but the product isn't everything it's designed to do just yet. You're usually going into market with a brand that nobody knows who you are. Right, and so, it's really challenging. However, it can be incredibly rewarding as you're kind of problem solving and finding different paths to, growth and revenue. Series A is sort of when it's like, "Hey, we figured a lot of things out, and now it's really trying to find, where do we double down on investments? We're gonna test some new things." At those stages, there's usually a lot more around scaling the revenue team. So how do we become a lot more efficient? Over the last few years, it was like, how do we go hire a load of salespeople? Which we all obviously have seen the repercussions of that. And so, every stage I think has its own new set of challenges and opportunities. So it's been a really kind of exciting ride for me to see, those different phases, particularly working with a lot of different international organizations, companies headquartered outside of the US that are looking to break into the US market. So, yeah, it's been a fascinating, fun ride so far.
It sounds like it. And it sounds like you've got a wealth of experiences too, doing lots of different things when it comes to revenue, sales, revenue operations. In the back end of 2025, what are some kind of big macro trends that you're seeing in the space that are impacting how you look at things?
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be like the one you're gonna hear from everybody, but really looking at like how do we deploy AI within the business to really maximize output from our sales team, right? How can we leverage this to reduce maybe more of the manual tasks, the research, more of those admin things that absorb a lot of time, but take you away from the really important revenue generating activities. And so that, of course, is a big one for us. Um, at BioCentury, we're doing a lot of new things in terms of um, perspective as well. So, there's a lot of content creation that we're looking at. There's a lot of new kind of campaigns and strategies that we're running. So, but what overall, though, I think the theme that I'm very, very focused on is that efficiency play, right? How do I enable my sales reps or my teams um, to do prioritize their time and be able to spend more time on high impact activities?
hmm And without pulling back the curtain too much, Kevin, have you found any AI cheat codes that have been super beneficial for your business?
Cheat codes is an interesting way of putting it, right? And I think that look, I don't think there's any cheat codes out there just yet, right? We are taking more of that, crawl, walk, run approach. It's hard to scroll through LinkedIn without seeing a post about my AI SDR booked me 2 million in pipeline, and and I have a hard time really kind of believing in a lot of those things. However, there are a lot of different workflows that we've built around particular research, whether we're leveraging that from an outbound prospecting perspective, meeting prep. We're also using it a lot throughout our sales motion on how we can add more value for our customers. Um, and then creating different workflows to automate like data enrichment, as well as creating different workflows to make our sales team more efficient. So we're leaning into it more and more. We're learning every single day about it. But I don't know if there's any cheat codes just yet.
Mhm. Yeah, there's no silver bullets out there. I think everybody's still in search, but like you said, LinkedIn is covered in all these AI promises. And I think that that's something that's making it a little hard too. Is but the way I've looked at it, and I've said it on the show a couple of times, there's a lot of AI companies out there that are kind of promising unicorns and delivering donkeys, so to say. Not to call anybody out, but in that instance, it just makes it much harder from our perspective of knowing which tools to trust, which tools to use. So,
Yeah, and I mean, so we're looking into and researching a lot of tools today, and I think you hit the nail on the head. The one of the biggest challenges is that there's a lot of noise out there. Everybody does something maybe a little bit different or impacts, a part of the sales motion or process a little bit differently. So just researching, having discussions, like learning and figuring all that stuff out has been a bit of a challenge. But I think the other thing that we have learned is really like what to automate and what not to automate, right? We have run some campaigns where there's a lot of um, AI generated content and emails that just really weren't personalized enough, specific enough, right? That were like good-ish, but more just too generic to really prompt the response. And so, we quickly learned that full-blown automation of certain things doesn't make sense for us with where we're at today. It might for others, right? But just where we're at right now, we're just finding those areas where we can automate elements of the process to make the team more efficient, but then again, spend that time on really high impact activities.
mhm, it makes perfect sense. And I know you mentioned you tried AI and emails. Once again, without pulling the curtain back too much on BioCentury, what's your main vision when it comes to what channels you operate through? Where's your kind of most success been found?
I mean, look, from a channels perspective, listen, that's going to evolve and change with the times, right? If you think across leveraging email, phone, LinkedIn, other social channels, my opinion personally is that there's always going to be a composition of multi-channel approach. However, if you think of the pie chart of the different channels you're attacking or you're reaching out through, um, that's gonna constantly evolve, even quarter to quarter, right? Um, However, what I am finding and hearing a lot of from peers and friends in the industry, um, picking up the phone still works, right? I think, particularly, when it comes to cold calling, you gotta be really good. You have to practice your craft. Um, you know, just like anything, right? You can make 100 cold calls a day. If you're really bad at cold calling, you're probably not gonna get great results, right? So you gotta be great at it, but, we are finding that that's a channel that's alive and well for us.
Hmm. Nice. And I know earlier you also had mentioned you've bought on quite a few sales reps in your time. Does that play into that strategy?
Yeah, I
More
mean,
employees, more dials, more leads?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say like more employees, more dials, more leads, right? Because I think one of the things that we've learned over the years, right, is adding headcount, adding quota does not equal adding revenue, right? But what I really think it is, as your demand, as your pipeline, as your lead volume that actually converts to pipeline, as those metrics increase and go up and to the right, those are signals to then go hire more folks. Um, but I do think it's all about, like, again, sales is an interesting game. It's a constantly evolving game. And I think the best sales reps over long periods of time are really great at keeping up with the times and sharpening their skills and getting better as things do evolve, right? The way people purchase has evolved a ton. Um, Introducing AI makes things evolve a ton, right? Market conditions change things a ton, right? So I think it's not necessarily about just adding more and more headcount. It's for me personally, it's adding the headcount when it makes sense, but also making sure that you're enabling your current staff and you're supporting and you're training them and helping them get better every single day. So it's a combination of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I always, when in doubt, lean more towards quality over quantity, regardless of the situation. So,
Percent.
and with that, it sounds like continuous learning, continuous kind of personal development is a successful trait of any sales rep. Is there anything else you look for, maybe when you're hiring, maybe when you're building teams, maybe individual characteristics that are indicators of a good hire?
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of tied to that, but there is an element of um lots of curiosity, and not just because I think it helps you with your training and development, but also because um, I think the way that really good salespeople interact with their customers is because they're naturally very curious, right? So, very, very curious is a great trait for me. Um, People that have overcome adversity and really tough times, um, I think is a really important trait for me. As we know, sales can be this wild roller coaster of highs and lows. You're going to hear no probably a lot more than you hear yes. You're going to get to an end of the quarter and you're going to have a few deals that are, going to get you to quota, and you get that no right at the last minute. And I think it's all about your ability to bounce back and overcome tough times. Um, and then, I think the other piece that's always been really important for me is that element of collaboration, and I say that for two primary reasons. One is any sales team I've ever run, I think team wide, they're very successful when you have collaborators and not a bunch of lone wolves, right? People that really value team, people that want to see everybody else win, people that want to share what's working or maybe where they're struggling, right? I think that's a great thing to help improve team wide performance. Um, but also too, like, again, part of this evolution, I'm seeing that um, really getting deals over the line for a lot of companies, in particular ours, really does require cross department collaboration. So your ability to bring in different stakeholders into a deal process that provides a really great customer experience is super important to me. So your ability to collaborate across different departments is also super huge.
No doubt. And I like that is you definitely need a holistic process in this day and age. I think obviously a low ticket might be a different situation, but very few people are ready to buy right out the gate unless you've got a ton of social proof, ton of conversations kind of with people around you, a lot of networking referrals. But I think bringing a ton of stakeholders, if it's a cold lead, I think that's the way to do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Kevin, as we begin to wrap up the show now, over your years of experience, I like to ask this towards the back end. If there was one thing you wish you learned a little earlier in your career, what would that one thing be?
Yeah, this is a really great question. I think if I look back at my career and I were to change one thing, um, it would probably be around this concept of not necessarily chasing titles, right? I think uh, I was always very highly motivated to get promoted, which I think is a good thing, right? But when I look back, there was definitely times in my career where I made a decision around, going for that VP of sales title and maybe not truly fully understanding all of what that really meant. Um, and so I think a lot of times people are just making decisions around chasing a title, chasing a higher base salary, right? Things along those lines. And if I were to kind of flip it a little bit and change it, um, it would be really pursue and find opportunities where you can learn from outrageously smart people. I think by chasing some of those titles, I put myself in a position where I was like, I want to be the guy. I want to be the VP of sales. Um, and not necessarily that I wasn't ready for it, but I probably could have been better off by maybe taking not as grand of a step forward, right? Finding that step forward, but also just learning from outrageously smart people. Um, a lot of my leadership experience has been like kind of thrown out there, figure it out type stuff, right? Which is super hard. And again, I think there's some pros to that, but it is super, super challenging. So yeah, I guess in short, it's like don't chase the titles, chase opportunities to learn from really, really smart people.
I like that. I like that a lot. And looking forward, obviously being the VP of revenue, what's the maybe even personal goals of yours, but what's the vision for BioCentury as we head into Q4 and 2026?
It's a good question. I mean, I think we're on a really, really great trajectory right now. We've got a lot of momentum behind us. I would say, over the last, really over the last year to year and a half, we've implemented a lot of change, right? We've restructured teams. We've built out new customer journeys. We've built in a lot of new skill sets and new process. And so, um, when you do those types of things, there's always like there's version one to it, and then V2 comes, V3 comes. And so even when we look at things like our revenue operations, functionalities, um, we're early days on like transforming a lot of things. So for me, it's just continuing to see the progress and the building blocks on what we've done so far. There's a lot of exciting things that we're doing as an organization. I think that are going to add a load of value for our customers. And so I think it's almost those early days are really hard of kind of seeing that progress. And I think we're past that. And so seeing that progress continue to ramp up and scale is what I'm really, really excited about.
For sure. And whenever I hear something like that, I always think of the story of bamboo. So it grows underground for 3 to 5 years. Nobody sees it, and then as soon as it breaks ground, it grows 30 feet in a day or two. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. No, I think that's spot on. Right. I think a lot of things we've been doing have just been a lot of that foundational stuff to allow us to continue to grow and scale. And again, for me, like I love it's really rewarding to see the progress, seeing people develop, getting better, feeling more engaged and having their roles be a lot more rewarding for them. And so with all of that, I think it's we're on a great path. And then as we grow and scale, that creates new opportunities for people, whether that's internal promotions, which I'm very, very excited and a huge fan of, as well as identifying, new opportunities and roles for folks to enter the business.
hmm For sure. No, it's a great way to look at it, and I think you're a great man to lead the charge.
Thank you, man. No, I appreciate that. It's a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun overall.
Nice. I love to hear it. And Kevin, that's all I've got for you today. So for the audience listening, thank you for tuning in. I'll be sure to tag Kevin's LinkedIn and BioCentury's website down in the description. But Kevin, is there anywhere else people can connect with you?
No, I'd say LinkedIn is probably the best. Super accessible there. Usually when I do these, I get a load of folks reaching out and just want to talk shop and all of that. And so always happy to. Like I said, I've learned a lot over the years, and any way I can pay it forward or help folks out, I'm always more than happy to. So I love doing that stuff.
Sweet. And I'll be sure to link it all down in the description. But one last time, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for giving us your time. And Kevin, thank you for giving us your time as well.
Appreciate it, my man.
It's been a pleasure.